Thank you for coming out on a very cold, dreary, abysmal Ohio November day. I appreciate the effort, and we're glad you're here. So this is Empowered Seniors Columbus, and this is a free educational seminar series that I started 18 months ago. And I'm Laurie Elsass. I am a realtor by day with Keller Williams Capital Partners in Worthington. And in my fun, passionate, out of the office time, this is what I do. I like to go and educate people and give safe spaces for seniors to learn about different lifestyle topics that are important to them, important to you, important to me, because I happen to be a senior as well. I am rehabbing. I'm 3.5 weeks out from a left knee replacement. So I'm probably going to be sitting and standing up kind of intermittently today. So pay no attention to the woman in the corner that's standing and sitting, because it's just not comfortable. Completely sitting for an hour yet, or completely standing. So it'll be a little bit of in between. And this afternoon, in case you've forgotten, this is Driving After 80, and that's what you signed up for today. You're going to learn about how to be a safe driver, and specifically how to be safe fitted inside your car, because that's super important as we age. And my favorite quote that I always start is, "Age is merely the number of years that the world has been enjoying you. Embrace each moment and empower yourself to live life to the fullest." That's, again, another reason that I decided to host these seminars. So I have already introduced myself. I will tell you that I work not exclusively, but predominantly with seniors that are transitioning either from their the home that they've lived in for 50 years into something more manageable, or into a senior living space, whatever that might look like. I have 2 special designations that I have earned that enable me in a variety of ways to be as educated and on top of all of the issues that go along with later in life real estate transitions. I have my Senior Real Estate Specialist designation, and I also have my Certified Senior Housing Professional designation. And how I got involved in this was probably about 6 years ago. My dad was diagnosed. He had some health complications. He and my mom were living down in Atlanta. I lived here. My brother was in Florida. We had a family weekend where we sat down and we were, "Do you guys need seats? There are 2 right here. You sure?" Okay. "Oh, no, you're fine. Make yourselves comfortable." My dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's and was having some significant balance issues and was falling a lot. And the falls kept getting scarier. And so we got together and tried to make the best decision for my folks as a family, so that we were making sure that he was going to be in the safest living environment possible. We ended up moving my parents up to Dublin. They moved out of a 3,500 square foot home that they had lived in for a lot of years. And we moved them into a 1-bedroom apartment in an assisted living community here in Dublin. So it was a massive transition, and there were all sorts of things that kind of cropped up that my brother and I, nor my mom, really had any idea were going to be so important and impactful in the decision-making process. And we all felt a little bit like deer in the headlights, and wished that we had a resource where we could learn, ask questions in a safe environment that would enable us and empower us to make decisions that were going to be in the best interest of my dad. So anyhow, that's sort of where I got immersed into this space professionally, and I haven't looked back. It's been a fabulous way for me to invest myself. I am 61, headed towards 62. I still have my mom. We did lose my dad 2 years ago. She's still living. She's in independent living now in a different senior living community. So I've just learned so much along the way, and I always want to be able to help other people on their journey. Oops, wrong direction. So we're going to start by introducing Emma Strange, and Emma is a licensed social worker and has a master's in social work, and she is the Aging Programs Outreach Specialist with the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging, and she is going to walk us through, we're going to first go through a couple of myths about driving in later years, and then she's going to go into a full-fledged presentation on how to make yourselves as safe as possible in your car as we age. So there are several significant myths floating out there about driving as we age. The first myth is that our driving abilities remain the same as we age. And that's a typo. It should say false, not truth, because it is not true. And that's a little typo. But age-related changes happen to us, whether it's visual and your vision changing, or your reflexes might slow down a little bit, or your osteoporosis is causing some shrinkage issues with your body and your skeletal system. Sometimes we have diseases that we get diagnosed with that can have impacts on our health, or maybe it's a prescription that you're taking, and that prescription could make you sleepy, or it could make you, sometimes they warn against operating heavy machinery, and that would include a car, obviously. So we do change as we age physically, and that's an important thing to note. And then myth number 2 is the risk of injury and death due to car accidents remains the same across all age groups. That is false. Drivers aged 70 and older have a higher crash rate per 1,000 crashes than middle-aged drivers. Higher crash rate deaths are primarily due to increased vulnerability and injury in a crash, meaning your seatbelt isn't working as well as it should be, or your headrest isn't where it should be. These are all things that we're going to learn a little bit more about as we go through the car fit demonstration. Myth number 3, seniors are not willing to stop driving even when they are unable to remain safe behind the wheel. A study from the University of Colorado School of Medicine found that most older adults actually agree that they would stop driving if their doctor or a loved one, a family member, told them that they believed it was unsafe for them to be driving anymore. From a personal experience, I can tell you I had 2 very different experiences with my parents. My dad, because of the health issues that he had, it was a decision that the family had to make for him, and he was not happy about it, and it was very complicated, and he went through a significant period of depression after losing the keys, and we all really struggled with that. It was really hard. My mom, on the other hand, gave them up voluntarily, and we were all like, what? So it can be vastly different even amongst, the same family. I mean, everybody has different reactions to, those decisions. And there are even advanced directives that you can have where, you can write that into your, your end of life, legal documents that, if your children come to you and say, Mom, we just don't think it's safe for you to be behind the wheel anymore, then you agree to live with that. Not everybody does that, but it can be done. And then the final one I'm going to briefly touch on is if you're unable to drive, you're not going to be able to get where you're going. And that could not be further from the truth. There are so many ways to get around town without the keys to a car. There's one seat up here. Is there one over there? Okay. Y'all might have to split up. Sorry about that. There's one right up here in front.
I'll take the front.
And if we need to pull a couple chairs maybe out of the, or actually, you know what, Sam, they're in here. There's chairs in here. Absolutely. Okay, so back to if I give up my keys in my car, I won't be able to get where I'm going, and that's just false. The City of Dublin has transportation services specifically for seniors. Obviously, I don't know how many of you have ever used Lyft or Uber, but trust me, if you've got a smartphone, you can figure out how to call a car to come get you and take you where you need to go. And even if you don't like using your smartphone, or it intimidates you, there is something called GoGo Grandparents, which is a car service that literally can have a driver to your door in 15 or 20 minutes. And you can schedule out. You don't have to use an app on your smartphone. There is a phone number. As long as you have that phone number in your contacts, in your phone, you can call and you can request a ride. So there are lots of ways to get around if you get to the point where you're making a decision not to drive anymore. So now I am going to turn it over to Emma.
Thank you, Lori. Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Strange. As Lori said, I am the CarFit coordinator for Ohio. So I'm lucky enough to be able to work throughout the entire state, but this is a much more local for me because I'm based at the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging. I am a social worker. I got my master's in social work, specifically focused on older adults and families through a lifespan perspective. So I went into my master's program saying, I want to work with older adults. That's the only population I'm interested in. I don't want to work with children. I don't want to work with young adults. Take me to the older adults, please. Thank you very much. And out of 500 students, there were 17 of us that were like, this is it for us. This is our bread and butter. And I've enjoyed it so much. I started out doing eviction and foreclosure prevention at a hospital, doing case management. And then I moved here and I was a mobility coordinator, which meant that I was talking to older adults about what alternative transportation options were out there. I was doing travel training, which meant that I was getting on COTA buses with people and showing them how to ride the bus. I was riding the bus all over the city. And now I'm in this CarFit position. And today when we're talking about CarFit, we are talking about the ways that your car can be suited to you specifically. What's gonna work for me in my car is gonna be different than what works for you in your car. I'm 5'3", so I'm a little bit of a shorter driver. I'm a little bit closer to my steering wheel. Some of you that are 5'7", 5'9" are gonna have a much more different experience than I am. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with the next slide. And this is just my boilerplate disclaimer. The information that I'm talking about today is going to be empowering you to check yourself in your own vehicle. I personally do not know what you look like in your Honda, your Subaru, etc. If you want something more personalized, I would strongly recommend coming to one of our CarFit events. I know at least one of you has already been to one of our events and gave a good review. Or you can actually email me and I will set up a one-on-one appointment with you for us to go through a safety checklist. CarFit began in 2006. It was started by the AARP and the American Occupational Therapy Association of America. So it's almost 20 years old, and it is available throughout the entire United States, as well as Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So I don't know, if you're traveling to New Zealand and you're like, I want to come to a CarFit event, they have them there too. You can go to the next slide. And then how many of you already know about CarFit? A couple. Have you been to a CARFIT event? No, then you have been. Okay. And then how many of us have taken a driver safety course in the past 3 years? Okay. Do you want to shout out what was the organization you did your course through? AAA, that's a common one. AAA does a roadwise safety course. There are also courses through the AARP. Those are different from what we're going to be doing today, but those are really very helpful. Great. So today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to first give a program overview, what is CARFIT, and then we're going to go through how to self-assess yourself in your vehicle. We're going to round out then with other ways to learn more about driver safety, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions as well. So I'm going to actually keep an eye on my time, because I tend to yap. All right. So one of the things that Lori already kind of touched on is that our personal mobility is really critical to our healthy aging. We know that social isolation is just as deadly for you as smoking cigarettes every single day. Now, that doesn't mean to go out and start smoking cigarettes, but it really gives us a good idea of the fact that connection with others is important to us. During one of my presentations, I asked people, what destinations were important to them: the library, doctor, the pharmacy, their daughter's house. And then I asked, well, how important are all those trips? And guess what? Every single one of those trips is important. Every single time you're going out and you're saying hi to people and they're out in the world is an important trip. There's no such thing as a trip where you're like, I don't really need to do that. I guess unless it's to the BMV. But every trip to someone is going to be important, and we want to make sure that you're able to get to those destinations for as long as you can. But we also know that age-related changes can make driving uncomfortable and unsafe. And when I say aging, I mean all of us are aging right now. It is a process that starts as soon as you're born. People start to lose their hearing at age 40. So when people say like aging, they typically think of 65 plus, but when I say aging, I mean everyone is aging all the time, causing changes in their body, right? And that is why this information is important for everyone. Specifically with older adults, though, some of the things that we see is a height change. We see stiffness that makes us less able to maybe buckle our seatbelt comfortably. But just because we have those changes doesn't mean we have to just suffer with them and live with them. That's something that I see a lot is somebody says, well, I'm just getting older. Like, it's okay that I'm really uncomfortable when I'm driving. And it's not okay. You deserve to be comfortable just like anyone else. We know that there are also features in your car that can be adjusted to make driving more comfortable and more safe for you. All right, I also want to kind of do some myth busting around CARFIT. So CARFIT is our opportunity to share safety information with you. It is not, I'm not qualified to do a couple of things. Number one, I'm not qualified to tell you whether or not you should be driving. Not my purview. You can come to my event, knock out every single one of my safety cones. I'm not going to do nothing about it. I'm going to be fine with it. That has never happened also, by the way. And then I'm also not qualified to do an inspection of your vehicle. I don't know why it's making that sound. I don't know why it smells like that. I couldn't tell you. Please don't ask. What I am qualified to do is look at where your head restraint is. Is it protecting you as best as it can? Is it too high, too low? I also get people who are like, oh, I don't think that my neighbor should be driving. I'm going to send them to your CARFIT event. Please don't do that. I'm not going to be the one to have that conversation with them. However, if you have somebody who maybe doesn't wear their seatbelt, you know they should, bring them to my event. Maybe their seatbelt isn't fitting them comfortably. Maybe we can adjust it, and once it's not cutting into their neck, they're more likely to wear that seatbelt when they drive. Okay, so at a CARFIT event, you're going to come and drive up in your vehicle. I'm going to come out, I'm going to be wearing bright neon, so that way everyone can see me. And we're going to, through a 12-point checklist, try to get you to be like this gentleman right here. We want your hips centered and fully in the back of your seat. We want your foot to be able to easily reach the gas and brake pedal with the ball of your foot. So not with your tippy toes, not with your heel, the ball of your foot. We want you to have a clear line of sight above the vehicle. And then we also want, let me see if want your arms on the steering wheel slightly bent, right? We don't want them out all the way like this, because you can imagine that in a collision, that's gonna hurt your arm. And we also don't want you to be scrunched up really close to the steering wheel. We want just that slight bend. That's going to be comfortable for you and also safer in a crash. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like. This is Kimberly, who wasn't able to make it today, so I'm stepping in for her. This is Kimberly at a CarFit event with her little clipboard talking to somebody about something in their vehicle. So you can go to the next one. First thing I want to talk about is the seatbelt. Raise your hand if you wear your seatbelt every single time you drive. That's almost everyone. I would love for it to be everyone. Right, so this seatbelt is the number one thing that's going to prevent a death in a crash. The reason for that is, one, it keeps you in place, it absorbs energy forces during a collision, and prevents you from becoming a projectile in the event of a crash. So if somebody is not wearing their seatbelt, it's not only about them, it's about other people's safety as well. And then we also want, so what I want you to do today when you get back in your car, if you drive, is I want you to take note of where your seatbelt is hitting you. We want your seatbelt to be, I'm gonna stand right here so folks can see me. We want it to be on our mid-collarbone. So not up here against our neck and not falling off our shoulder. We want it to be at that mid-collarbone. The other place we want our seatbelt for the lap belt is across our hips. The checklist literally calls it our strong pelvic bones. The reason why we want it across our bones here and here is because if you imagine that you're in a collision and your body goes forward, you want that seatbelt to catch you where your body is strongest. That is going to be your bones. If your lap belt is up here across your stomach, that will damage your internal organs. So we want to keep it low. So if you feel like it's riding up and you're on a long road trip, push it down. Make sure that it's on those hip bones. The other thing that we want to know about the seatbelt is that it works with the airbag, right? It works with the airbag, it works with the head restraint. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, these other things are all of a sudden not protecting you as much. All three of these are a team and they work together. So these are the things you're going to check today. Again, is it across your mid-collarbone? Is it across your hip bones? And then are you able to buckle comfortably? Is that motion comfortable for you? Are you doing this simple motion, just reaching behind you and grabbing it? Or are you having to move the entire trunk of your body to grab that seatbelt? For me, because I'm shorter, I have my seat kind of pulled up high, so my seatbelt's kind of far back. You know, I don't know if anybody else has that situation where they're kind of doing this to grab the seatbelt and it's a little bit uncomfortable for them. There are devices called a seatbelt grabber that can attach to the seatbelt, so that way it's easier for you to pull it across your body. And there's an image of this later on in the slides. Now, if you need to adjust your seatbelt, you can adjust the height of your seatbelt. There is a button on your seatbelt. You're going to look to your left, and right where that seatbelt goes into the door, you can make the seatbelt higher or lower. This is going to be especially important for you if you find that the seatbelt is cutting into your neck. You're going to want to lower your seatbelt. If your seatbelt is falling off your shoulder, you're going to want to make your seatbelt higher. This is something that we commonly see does anyone here share a car with a spouse or with a friend? Yeah. Does anybody have a significant height difference between their spouse and their friend that they share the car with? Yeah. So when you are in that driver's seat, we want to make sure that the car is fitting you and you specifically. We commonly see that a taller person might get in the car, make that seatbelt perfect for them. The shorter person gets in the car and all of a sudden it's cutting into their neck, right? So always adjust that seatbelt when you get in the vehicle as well. And then we're also going to talk about steering wheel tilt. Did anybody know that that is an important part of your car, the tilt of the steering wheel? The steering wheel, if you're looking at it in front of you, I'm going to use this as my steering wheel. And you're imagining that you're holding it like this, you're driving along. If there's an airbag inside of that steering wheel, does anybody know how fast the airbag comes out? How many miles per hour do you think? 5 miles per hour? Yes, so it does go off if you're going, it does go off if you're going, if you decelerate really quickly, but it comes out of your steering wheel at 100 to 200 miles per hour. Right, So it's a little bit scary. It's gonna come out of your steering wheel, and you wanna make sure, I'm getting in front of you guys again. If you wanna make sure that it's pointing this way, straight towards your chest, because the airbag's gonna come out like this. You don't wanna be pointing up like this, because then it's coming towards your face. You want it tilted towards your chest, because it's designed to kind of absorb impact on your chest, not towards your face, which is very beautiful and has a lot of delicate bones. We want it to be on that chest. This is, when you are looking at your steering wheel, you're gonna look at that emblem, the Subaru, Honda, what have you, and see, is it facing, you're like, okay, do I feel like it's pointing at my chest, or do I feel like it's pointing at my face? You also wanna make sure that you can see the speedometer and instrument panel easily. Can you see how fast you're going? If all of your lights light up, which again, don't come to my car fit and ask me what does that light mean, I don't know. But can you see light if there were to be a light? Make sure you have visibility there as well. Now, if you need to adjust it, usually there's a lever right underneath your steering column that looks like that. Has anyone ever adjusted their steering wheel before? Okay, good, we have some experts in the audience. For those of you that are driving newer vehicles, it might be a button on the side rather than a lever that you push. For the button, those are fancy schmancy. You can even telescope your steering wheel further away or closer to you. I have the lever myself, and this is something that I have fiddled with a lot when I learned this information. Next thing we're going to talk about is distance between your chest and the airbag. So, your chest and the airbag, you should have a minimum of 10 inches. Just like we said earlier, that airbag comes out at 100 to 200 miles per hour. And I know that that is very scary, because it is. The airbag is designed to make impact with your body, but it is designed to make impact with your body after it has begun to deflate. So, in a collision, which we hope never happens to any of us here, the airbag is going to inflate and be as hard as a rock in a 20th of a second. And then it is going to start to deflate and your body will make impact with it. The airbag is absorbing collision forces from the crash, and it is also protecting your body. This is why it's important that you're, one, wearing your seatbelt properly, because that's gonna hold you back from the airbag, and two, that you're 10 inches away from the steering wheel at a minimum. So 10 inches, if you have a ruler in front of you, you're gonna hold it to your sternum like so, to make sure that you're 10 inches away. If you don't have a ruler, because I am short like 3 rulers, use an envelope, like a business envelope, and hold it to your sternum to make sure that you are 10 inches away. 10 inches is the minimum distance. Yes?
And it also makes a lot of noise when it deploys.
It does make a lot of noise, yeah. It's scary.
Very scary.
Yeah, it makes a lot of noise, but it will, I promise it does have a purpose. There's no such thing as too far away from the airbag. You just want to make sure that you're still able to hit the gas and brake. We don't want to compromise your ability to brake quickly in case of an emergency. So this image here, she's using an envelope instead of a ruler, and you can see it kind of has that same effect to make sure that she's 10 inches away. And you're holding it to your sternum up here, the breastbone. So if you're wearing a coat or something, that doesn't count. You want it on the breastbone right here. Now, if you are too close, which is common, no worries. It's usually most common in our shortest drivers, so like 5'3" my height and below. This is typically an issue that we have. You can use the button below your seat to move yourself away from the steering wheel. If you have a newer model, sometimes you can even move the steering wheel further away from you. The next thing we're going to talk about is line of sight above our steering wheel. So we want to be able to see everything clearly in front of us. The line of sight should not be restricted by your steering wheel, so you don't want the steering wheel too high or any other obstructions. If you have a handicap placard, that does qualify as an obstruction. Those are very large. It does say on it even, they're like, please do not drive with this. And you can technically be ticketed for it. You won't be pulled over for it, but if an officer does pull you over, they do have the ability to ticket you for having the handicap placard hanging in your rear view window. So please take it off and then put it back on once you've parked. That can restrict your vision. We want to make sure you have a line of sight of 3 inches above that steering wheel to be able to see properly. To measure that, you can use your envelope again, 3 fingers, or the CarFit ruler. You're going to hold it on top of your steering wheel, and you're going to get your favorite person to stand in front of your car and let you know if they can see your eyes. If they can't see your eyes, then that means you do not have a good line of sight. So if you were to stand in front of my car, you would want to make sure that you could see some portion of my eyes. My entire face is great, you know, that means I have really good visibility, but if you can't see my eyes, that means that I cannot see well above the hood of my car. How many of us have technology in our car that beeps at us? Yeah, like we have sensors kind of all around our cars. This is a good point for me to also let y'all know now that we're getting into rainy, snowy weather. Those sensors work off of cameras, and they do not work in heavy rain if they are covered in dirt or if they are covered in ice. So before we drive, if we like our sensors, which I like mine, we want to make sure that we're scraping our car off, keeping it clean, and that we're just more aware when we're driving in things like rain. And always remember, you are smarter than the car. Always. You are smarter than the car, I promise. So we want to make sure that those are things that we're looking at as well. Which next one? Okay, great. If you do not have a good line of sight, typically with these cars now, you can move the seat base up higher. I told everyone, I swore up and down, I was like, my car actually can't do that. And then 2 weeks ago, I figured out that yes, my car in fact can do that. And I've had this job since March, so I should have known that. But, say la vie, I'm better at identifying other people's cars than my own. If even that isn't helping you, there's also a wedge cushion that gives you an extra bit of height. I won't ask anyone to expose themselves for sitting on a pillow right now because I won't do that to you. But a wedge cushion is better than a pillow. The reason for that is that a pillow, number one, it's not going to give you that much height. They're really not that strong. Number two, a pillow, the surface of it, cloth against cloth or cloth against leather, is really likely to slip off. You know, slip off underneath your legs and become an obstruction to be able to hit those pedals. So we want to see you use a wedge cushion in case you cannot see over the steering wheel, because number one, it's foam, so it's actually giving you 2 to 3 inches of extra height, and 2, it has a texture on it so that it won't slip and become a hazard. Okay, head restraint. Head restraint is probably the number one thing I adjusted this year. I adjusted hundreds of these, and it's the most common thing that I adjust in the lives of my family members and friends. Number one thing, I've become very annoying about it. I adjusted my dad's the other day. I adjust my passengers. It's my number one pet peeve now. So your head restraint, oftentimes referred to as a headrest, which is a bit of a misnomer, has a very important function of protecting you from whiplash in the event of a crash. If you are rear-ended, which I hope you never are, we want to make sure that your head restraint is close to the back of your head. When you are sitting in your vehicle, I want you to feel how close the back of your head is to that head restraint. You want to be a minimum of 2.5 inches or closer to that head restraint. The reason for that is if you could imagine that this is the back of your head and this is the head restraint. If you are this far away, that is a much bigger impact than being much closer. You will have a much more increased likelihood of having whiplash if you are very far away from that head restraint and your head slams against that head restraint. The other thing that I want you to look at is the back of your head being protected by the bulk of the head restraint. Is it too low or too high? So for this woman here, you can tell that it's in the proper place for her because the tip of her ear is hitting the middle of that head restraint there. We want the head restraint to be even with your ears. This is also a very common thing that we adjust for shorter and taller people if you're sharing your car with someone else. Or if, let's say, one of your kids takes your car and they adjust all of your things, they mess everything up, and you get in, you might not notice that they've made your head restraint way too high.
For what? Question?
Yeah,
In that bottom one where that's to be, it's almost like the headrest is on an angle of 30, 40 degrees, kind of curving to the back of the head of the person. Are those headrests able to move that way?
oh, so the question was about the angle of the headrest. Are you asking about whether it's safe with it?
Right, because the others are, the one before is straight up, this one has been turned, maybe 20 degrees.
Oh,
in order
yes.
to contour the head. Is that
Very good
right?
point, yeah, so a lot of head restraints you can also affect the angle of, and push it forward or backwards. There isn't really a specific recommendation for the best angle that's safest. It's really all about getting you as close to the head restraint as possible, as close as comfort will allow. This is also a really good point because in a lot of newer car models, you might see a head restraint that is kind of, does anyone have this with a head restraint? It's kind of leaned forward like this, and it feels like it's pushing your head down. I'm getting some nods. I understand that being closer to the head restraint is more uncomfortable than some for others, as close as comfort will allow. You don't technically need to be touching the head restraint to be safe. We just want to make sure that you're 2.5 inches or less. Yeah. So, number one thing you can do is that you can adjust the back of your seat to make sure that you're sitting a little bit straighter. Just bringing the back of the seat a little bit closer to you can oftentimes just bring that a lot closer. There you go. So this is an example of what it looks like. Well, and then you can go to the next one because I'm flying through. Okay, you can raise or lower your head restraint. Has anyone done this in their car before? Yeah, most of us. Did anyone not know that this was a possibility? Okay, y'all are all studied. I swear you studied before this. But this is probably the most common one where people are like, I had no idea that I could do that. There's a button on your head restraint that you need to hold down, and then you can move the head restraint up and down. The thing that I will know with this is that sometimes it takes quite a bit of force to be able to do this if you've never done it in your car before, so you might need some help, have one person hold the button down while the other one moves it up and down. And then if you have one of those fancy cars that programs to where you can get in it, press 1, and it goes and it adjusts perfectly for you, and you get in and you press 2, and it adjusts perfectly for the other person, the head restraint is usually not included in this. And this also goes for your passengers. If you drive with passengers, you want to make sure their head restraint is adjusted as well. And the people that are in your back seat if you're driving anyone else around too. Gas and brake pedals. We want to make sure that we are able to fully depress the gas and brake pedals. When you're checking this, turn your car all the way off, and then put your hands on the steering wheel and fully depress the gas and brake. Make sure that your foot is not slipping. And we also want to emphasize here good shoe wear. So we're out of flip-flop season, but we are pretty solidly in slipper season. Please do not wear your slippers in the car. They will slip easily off of your foot and become a hazard. Same thing with driving with animals in the car as well. I understand that, my cat is a real jerk if I put her in a crate, but it is better than her crawling around and becoming a danger by my feet as well. And then also as we're getting into the winter months, check your floor mats. Make sure that your floor mat is secured to the floor. Crumpled floor mats have been implicated as a cause of crashes. And make sure that you're only using one floor mat. I also do get drivers sometimes that will say, well, I have 2 floor mats, one to keep the first floor mat clean. Just one, please. Just one. And make sure that it fits your car and that it is secured. Wintertime is a good time to check all of these things, too, just as we're going into new weather. Yeah, this is, no, you're good. I'm speeding through. I'm not even looking at the slides. So you can move your seat backwards and forwards. Some very new cars, you can actually move the pedals themselves to bring them closer to you. The only car I've seen able to do this was a cop car, but I've heard that some of the very new cars can do this. So maybe some of the 2026 ones, you can actually move the pedals as well. Okay, mirrors and blind spots. Mirrors are my favorite thing to check, and probably number 2 to head restraints, number 1 thing that we change as well. every single vehicle has blind spots. We want to make sure that the way that your mirror should work is that there's a car behind you in your rear view. You see that car. And then as the car goes to pass you, you can see it in the side view mirror. And then the moment that that car disappears out of your side view, I want you to be able to do this motion and see the car, right? I don't want you to have to move your entire trunk of your body to check your blind spots, because that's very uncomfortable for you. It's also gonna make you more likely to turn into the other lane as you're gripping your steering wheel to do that. And we wanna make sure that it's seamless, that car, you maintain visibility the entire time. So this is how the mirrors work. You see how if you can't see it, I just described it. But you see a car in your rear view, and you see it in your side view, and then as it drives up, you're just able to do that really quick head check as you're doing it. Does anyone here have blind spot check in there? Blind spot? Yeah. Do we all love it? Yeah, we love our blind spot check. I wish I had it in mine, personally. That's the one thing that I don't have that I think would be really cool. Yeah, it's, every time I see a car with it, I'm jealous. I get a lot of folks that are like, but Emma, I have blind spot warning. I don't need to check my blind spots. Great point. Once again, if you are driving in bad weather, if it is rainy, if it is foggy, if you have ice on your sensors, that blind spot warning might not work. So we still want to be checking physically with our head, and we want to make sure that we're looking at those sensors on our car. Does anyone know where the sensors are on their vehicle? Okay, some do, some don't. Do a little walk around of your car and find those sensors. They look like buttons, little buttons. There's an image later, I think. Some of us also have cameras in the car as well. I know it's very, the cars are like spaceships these days. Some of them that come through, they don't even make a noise when they pull up, and they kind of scare me. I'm like, oh, where'd you come from? So every car is different. Locate your sensors so that way when we really get into the winter, you can just scrape the ice off of them really easily and they still work for you. So today, you want to make sure that you can turn your head or neck very easily. Just do this. And then you also want to make sure that the entirety of your rear window is outlined in your rear view mirror. Okay. So if you want to actually do a walkthrough of your mirrors, come to a CarFit event. At the CarFit event, what I'll do is I will be mimicking a car driving next to you, and we will do it's called blind spot glare reduction technique, where I will be walking alongside of your car and working with you to adjust your mirrors as I go to make sure you have seamless visibility as I go around. And you've been through it. Was it helpful? Great. Ask her for an honest review of how the event went. The other thing that we do at a CarFit event that I can't do right now is we go through the operation of all of your vehicle controls. I'm from North Carolina originally, and every year to get your registration for your car, you have to bring your car into the mechanic, and they will fail your registration if you have a taillight out. And then I moved to the Midwest, and I was like, you're telling me who's gonna check my taillights for me? How am I gonna know if one of my lights is out? And they're like, well, a cop will pull you over. And I was like, I don't like that one bit. So at a CarFit event, we will check all of these things for you. One thing you can check today that I would recommend you check is your license plate lights. You all have license plate lights. You can get pulled over for those if they are both out. If you have just one license plate light but the other one is working, you're in the clear. But you do want at least one functioning license plate light. So become an expert on your vehicle. Look at your vehicle manual. Has anyone been like, I've never touched that thing? I mean, I did not touch mine until CarFit. I was like, oh wow, that's a really nice book. I'll never look at it. And I just kind of got on the road. And that's how most drivers are. That vehicle manual is very, very helpful. And I promise it's not a quiz when you come to the CarFit event. Someone will come to the CarFit event and I'm like, okay, can you turn on your hazards for me? And all of a sudden they're sweating and nervous, and it's not a test. You just want to make sure that you know where they are and that it's not comfortable for you to reach them. Okay, So tips for a better fit. Number one, check your manual. Just look through it in your car, understand how your features work, especially if you aren't, if I was saying words like forward collision warning, blind spot warning, and you don't know if you have those or not, your manual will tell you. And it will also tell you how to turn them on and off. A good example of this would be that I live in downtown Columbus. I turn off my lane assist when I'm driving downtown because there are a lot of bikers. And oftentimes I'm having to move to be able to allow room for the bikers, and my car will say, oh, you're swerving, and try to move me back, right? So we know what we are smarter than the car. So I turned off my lane assist to say, you know what, I think I know where the biker is, I actually shouldn't use this downtown. So if you wanna know how to turn these features on and off of your car, that's where you're gonna be able to find it. And then finally, attend an in-person CarFit event. We don't have many of these coming up right now because of the weather. I don't know about you, but my volunteers do not want to be outside for 3 hours in a wintry mix and 30 degrees. But if you would like a 20-minute one-on-one appointment, you can email me and set one up. I would be happy to meet you somewhere, or you can come to my office, and then we'll open back up events in the spring. Again, we already talked about this, but all of these lights and everything are very helpful. You are smarter than the car. I have the drowsy driver alert and the lane assist. Forward collision warning is a popular one. It's gonna go beep, 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 and stop your car if you're too close to something in front of you. Familiarize yourself. Oh, and here are some other places, and you have all the slides in front of you. If you want, if you're like, okay, I know this is great information, but actually, how can I be a safer driver behind the wheel when I'm moving? The AARP Smart Driver Tech course and the AAA RoadWise Driver courses are highly recommended. And then also, one of my favorites is mycardoswhat.org. If you are someone who doesn't know what safety features your car has, mycardoswhat.org. This is a super easy website. You put in your car's year, make, and model, and it will generate a list for you of every safety feature that your car has. Very helpful. Okay. If you do want to come to a CarFit event, you will meet one technicians, that's me. These are the people that will go through that, that checklist with you. Number two, an occupational therapist. The occupational therapist is a doctor who is specifically trained in adaptive devices to help people who have medical conditions that might be affecting their driving. So they're going to be the one who actually demonstrates with you the seatbelt puller, the wedge cushion, etc. And then these are the images of some of the adaptive devices that I've referred to today. So on the left here we have this wedge cushion. This is going to give you that extra 2 to 3 inches of height. And the center here is a handy bar. Has anyone ever used one of these? They're terrific. So what's great about a handy bar is you put it in the seat, in your car door, and you use it to actually help yourself get out of the vehicle, rather than having to hold on to the handle for your door that moves. You know, so that way you have just some extra support getting in and out of the car easily. This is something that my grandpa used recently because his wife had surgery and so did his mother. And so he was like, I don't know who to help out, my mom or my wife out of the car. They both had handy bars, they were jumping in and out themselves. Didn't even need them. And then lastly, we have that seatbelt puller here. So see how it kind of extends the seatbelt, so that way she's not having to reach really far back. This is also great if maybe someone's got a stroke and has some weakness in one of their arms. It needs to be able to grab that more easily. What to do next? Please self-check at your car and then come to a CarFit event. We would love to see you.
Thank you so much, That was awesome. And it's also something that you might want to talk to Stacy about, you know, scheduling one here at the rec center sometime in the spring or the summer. If there's enough interest, it might be something worthwhile talking to them about for programming. So I forgot one thing when I kind of did the introduction, and obviously you guys were smart enough to figure out that you had copies of the slides that you could take notes on. So, but also there's a packet of information about me and about my business, but also about Empowered Seniors Columbus. I'm either